And so with Boots embarking on exciting mountain treks alongside Jake, the farm felt a little quieter. Two playful souls remained, Whiskers and Stripes, their fur gleaming in the sunlight. Uncle Arthur and Aunt Dana, determined to find the perfect homes for them, were going through their list with potential adopters and discussing it often. "It's important to find the right match for the pups," Aunt Dana remarked, her eyes filled with both concern and determination. "I feel like this list is not enough and that we should keep searching." Uncle Arthur nodded in agreement. "There is an open day at the dog shelter in the city. People will go there specifically to look to adopt a furry friend. What do you think? Should we give it a try?" Aunt Dana considered the idea, her smiling gaze fixed on Stripes. "It's worth a shot. Let's give this little one all the chances to find his forever home." Whiskers looked up. "Wait a minute. Why him only? What about me?" The following weekend, Uncle Arthur and Aunt Dana loaded the puppies into the pickup truck and set off for the bustling city. As they arrived at the dog shelter, a sense of anticipation hung in the air. The open day was in full swing, with families and individuals milling about, eager to meet the dogs seeking loving homes. Whiskers and Stripes, wide-eyed and curious, took in the new surroundings. Uncle Arthur and Aunt Dana went straight to find the shelter manager to introduce themselves. "We spoke on the phone," Aunt Dana said. "We thank you so much for welcoming us here and helping us be a part of this important day." The shelter manager smiled lovingly, her eyes falling on the two puppies. "Of course, you are welcome here," she said. "We would do anything to help these lovely pups find a home." Uncle Arthur smiled. "Just this one," he pointed at Stripes. "We took the other one with us just to keep us company. He is already spoken for." Whiskers looked up and barked loudly, again wondering why they kept looking for humans only for Stripes. Why was nobody explaining what was going on? But nobody was understanding his curious barks. The humans were looking at the dogs next to them. The shelter manager explained that open days were crucial for connecting potential adopters with dogs in need of homes. "Open days bring people who are genuinely interested in adopting," the shelter manager explained. "It gives them the chance to meet different dogs, hear their stories, and see if there's a connection. It's a wonderful way to encourage adoption and find loving families for each dog." Aunt Dana nodded, impressed by the sense of community and purpose at the shelter. "It's a fantastic initiative. I admire all the care and attention you are giving these lovely dogs." Whiskers and Stripes kept looking around at all the people and dogs walking around. It was then that two shelter dogs, with wagging tails and warm smiles, approached them. "Hey there, newbies," called out the larger of the two, a friendly Labrador mix with a coat as black as the night sky. The other, a smaller and scruffier terrier mix, sat beside him, a glint of mischief in her eyes. Whiskers and Stripes looked up, their tails wagging in response to the welcoming duo. "Hi. We're Whiskers and Stripes." "Nice to meet you," Stripes barked, his excitement palpable. "I'm Shadow, and this lively ball of fur here is Luna," the Labrador introduced, nodding towards his companion. "We couldn't help but notice you two hanging out over here. Are you checking in?" Whiskers, his ears perked, replied, "I don't think so. We live on a farm. We came just for the day to meet humans. What about you? Where do you live?" Shadow's expression grew thoughtful. "Well, we used to live on the streets. Actually born there too. It was tough, always searching for food, and the nights were cold and lonely. But then, some kind people found us and brought us here to the shelter. They gave us food, a warm bed, and a roof over our heads. We love it here. The people on the staff are fantastic, especially the lady manager. She's like our guardian angel." Shadow nodded enthusiastically. "Yeah, And there are so many fun activities, toys to play with, and new friends to meet. There is, however, one thing I keep thinking about. And it is what it feels to have a real home. The sun shone brightly, casting a warm glow over the shelter yard as Stripes and Whiskers listened carefully to Shadow and Luna. Shadow explained the concept of an open day. You see, on days like today, people come to meet us. Some humans are looking specifically for dogs like us, and the shelter helps connect us with them. It's a bit like magic, matching dogs with the perfect humans for them. Stripes wagged his tail, his eyes shining with hope. That sounds wonderful. Do you think you'll find your forever home soon? Luna looked up, her expression tender. We're hopeful. We've been waiting for a while, and the staff here says that patience is key. So we are patient. As the conversation continued, the dogs formed a bond, sharing tales of their experiences, hopes, and dreams. They talked of cozy homes, warm beds, and the unconditional love that only a family could provide. The open day was in full swing, with families and individuals strolling on the shelter paths, drawn by the hopeful eyes of the dogs seeking homes. Luna and Shadow encouraged Whiskers and Stripes to greet everyone with enthusiasm, showcasing their playful personalities. Luna, her caramel coat gleaming in the sunlight, initiated a playful chase with Whiskers around one of the pens. Stripes joined in, his distinctive markings adding a vibrant splash to the lively scene. Shadow, always the steady presence, observed with a watchful eye, ready to join in the fun at a moment's notice. A group of children giggled as they approached the pen, their eyes widening with delight at the sight of the playful quartet. Whiskers and Stripes, sensing the promise of attention and affection, bounded toward the visitors, tails wagging eagerly. Whiskers shouted, "I love it when people come to play with us. It's like having a big, extended family." Meanwhile, a middle-aged couple strolled through the shelter, their hearts open to the possibility of welcoming a furry friend into their lives. The woman, her eyes drawn to Luna's striking presence, approached her with a warm smile. "She's beautiful," she remarked, watching Luna with admiration. Luna, always the social ambassador, wagged her tail and greeted the couple with a gentle nuzzle. The woman chuckled, her heart warmed by the friendly welcome. "Well, it's a pleasure to meet you. My name is Susan. I wonder what your story is." The man smiled, his gaze shifting to Shadow. "And what about him? Is he part of her story?" The shelter manager saw the couple and heard the man's question. "Yes, Shadow is part of Luna's story," she said. "They were found together and have been inseparable ever since. He's the calm and steady presence, she is the explorer. They complement each other beautifully." "Hi," the shelter manager continued. "I'm Emily and I run the shelter. I'll be happy to answer any questions about any dog under our care." Susan greeted Emily with a smile. "Me and my husband here, Robert, are looking for a companion who can join us on walks and become part of our family. Luna seems like she'd be a perfect fit." The couple engaged in conversation with Emily and asked more and more questions about Luna and Shadow. It was a long story about how they were seen together on the streets and how they were taken together to the shelter. It was obvious that Luna and Shadow had a special connection. Robert looked at Susan, a silent understanding passing between them. If Luna and Shadow have been through so much together, it would feel wrong to separate them. What do you think? Susan nodded, a warm smile spreading across her face. I agree. Luna and Shadow should stay together. We should try and do our best to adopt them both. Emily's eyes twinkled with joy. That's wonderful. Luna and Shadow are truly special souls, and I believe they've found the perfect family in you. Susan smiled. I actually wish we could take all dogs we see here. Each one deserves the best home. Look at this puppy too. What is his story? Emily turned and called Uncle Arthur and Aunt Dana, who were walking not far away from them. Uncle Arthur and Aunt Dana approached and introduced themselves. "We are just here for the day," Uncle Arthur said. "Looking for the right person to adopt this little one. His name is Stripes." "Oh, he is precious," Susan said. "I wish we could take him too, but 2 dogs is the maximum we could handle. We actually came to look for just one and are already deciding on 2. Robert was thinking. Or, he said, I might just have the best idea. "How about we ask our neighbors to give you a call? They are lovely people. Their house is semi-attached to ours and our gardens are separated just by a tiny hedge. Luna, Shadow, and Stripes will play together all the time." "Wonderful," exclaimed Aunt Dana. "We will be delighted to talk to your neighbors. Sounds like it will be a great option for Stripes." The humans started fussing around and exchanging numbers. Whiskers and Stripes heard the whole conversation and exchanged glances. Something amazing was happening, still they weren't quite understanding it. It looked like Luna and Shadow had found a home. Both of them together. But was Stripes also going with them to live in the city? And what about Whiskers? The decision made, Luna and Shadow, aware that their lives were about to take a new turn, exchanged glances filled with gratitude. Susan and Robert, hearts open to the connection they had discovered, went to Emily's office to finalize the adoption process. Soon they returned and took Luna and Shadow on a walk around the shelter grounds. The news had already traveled far and wide and the sheltered dogs had gathered around to bark their farewells. Excitement was in the air. Luna and Shadow, now destined for a loving home, walked with tails held high, eager to embark on a new chapter of their lives. Whiskers and Stripes, their hearts warmed by the positive turn of events, watched as Luna and Shadow's journey unfolded. Emily beamed with satisfaction, knowing that the magic of open days had once again brought together dogs and humans in the dance of shared love and companionship. With the prospect of a loving home on the horizon for Stripes, Uncle Arthur and Aunt Dana bid farewell to the shelter, grateful for the experiences gained and the connections made during this day. As they drove away from the city, Whiskers and Stripes felt tired and sleepy, ready to go to bed right away. Still they kept their eyes open, excited to see their mother back at the farm and tell her all about their new friends. Daisy stood waiting for Uncle Arthur's pickup truck to turn up at the farm road, hoping for good news. "Mother," Stripes said as they went to bed. "They said humans will call tomorrow to come and take me to live next door to Luna and Shadow in the city." Daisy kissed her boy goodnight, her heart heavy, yet filled with a sense of fulfillment. "I'm excited to meet these humans. I'm sure they are the best." On the next morning Uncle Arthur sat on the kitchen table, doing his favorite thing, the crossword in the Sunday paper. Soon the peaceful rhythm of his day was interrupted by a call. As promised, Susan and Robert's neighbors were calling to set up a visit. Uncle Arthur spent almost an hour on the phone walking around in the yard and chatting away, getting to know the family. The family turned out to be a mother named Tina, her teenage son, Alex, and a cat named Midnight. They were ready to come in that same afternoon. Excitement filled the air as Uncle Arthur shared the news with Aunt Dana, Daisy, and the pups. In no time, the family arrived, a car pulling up in the driveway. This time it was Daisy who first ran towards the newcomers to greet them. But soon she froze in dismay as she saw the magnificent figure of a black cat walking in front of the mother and son. Midnight, perched gracefully on the path, observed the scene with a regal air. Daisy had stopped flat in her steps, unable to decide how to proceed. One was never sure with cats and dogs. It could go either way. So both Daisy and Midnight were still, silently looking at each other. The humans had also stopped, observing the scene, ready to react if a fight was to occur. At that exact moment, Whiskers and Stripes approached, wagging their tails. They knew almost nothing about cats and were not afraid when they saw Midnight. They had their minds open and excited at the prospect of meeting a new friend. "Hi!" Stripes shouted. "I'm Stripes. What is your name?" Midnight blinked slowly, acknowledging Stripes. She relaxed, smiling. "Hello, I'm Midnight. And I assume this is your mother?" Stripes nodded, brushing his face close to Midnight to have a sniff at her. It was his way of warmly welcoming her. Midnight didn't seem to mind and brushed herself against him. Daisy finally snapped out of her frozen pose and wagged her tail. "Crisis averted," laughed loudly Aunt Dana. "Welcome all." Tina and Alex played happily with the dogs for a while, before they joined Uncle Arthur and Aunt Dana on the porch. Daisy, the puppies, and Midnight took a stroll around the farm and continued their conversation. "How do you feel about having Luna and Shadow as neighbors?" Daisy asked. "Well," Midnight said, "they say Luna and Shadow are nice dogs. And I feel like as long as they respect my space and keep to their part of the yard, we might be able to develop some sort of understanding." "Actually, it might get interesting," smiled Midnight. Stripes tilted his head. "Interesting? In what way?" Midnight stretched luxuriously. "Well, dogs are known for their exuberance, and I, being a cat, appreciate my quiet moments. But who knows? Maybe it'll be fun having dogs around." Whiskers, ever the curious one, asked, "What's it like being a cat?" Midnight purred, her eyes half closed. "Being a cat is a mix of lounging in sunspots, hunting imaginary prey, and demanding attention whenever I see fit. It's a good life." Whiskers nodded, his eyes wide with fascination. "Sounds interesting. What's your favorite part?" Midnight's whiskers twitched with amusement. "My favorite part? Probably the fact that I get to observe the world from a high point and keep everything in check. And..." Midnight stopped for a bit. "I guess it's not the worst thing to have Tina and Alex around. They are nice housemates to have. Tina is a judge. She goes to work in the morning and comes back in the afternoon," she continued. "Do you know what a judge is?" Whiskers and Stripes didn't know what a judge was. A judge is a person who works in a special place called a courtroom. They wear special robes and use a gavel to keep order in the courtroom. Judges listen carefully to people talking in the courtroom, because these people go to court when there is a problem or disagreement. The job of a judge is to make fair decisions and help solve problems by following the rules. "Wow!" Stripes exclaimed, imagining what it is to be a judge. "Tina must be a very clever and kind woman. And what about Alex?" "Alex goes to school and comes back at noon. I usually help him with his homework. If I am not taking my afternoon nap or am otherwise engaged, that is. On the way here in the car I heard Alex talking about taking Stripes every day to the dog park," Midnight said. Daisy and the pups shouted in excitement. "A dog park? What is a dog park?" Midnight smiled. "The city dog park is a large, open space where dogs from all around gather to play, run, and make new friends. It's like a grand adventure ground for pups. And the best part is, it's not too far from our house. And I'm guessing Luna and Shadow will go there too. Just in time for me to have my peace and quiet." Stripes listened, the excitement almost too much to bear. A dog park? A judge? Homework with Alex? Luna and Shadow playing next door? And Midnight to tell him nice stories every day? He felt in his heart that this house in the city with Tina, Alex, and Midnight is the home he was searching for. The sun bathed the farmyard in golden hues as Stripes prepared to leave for his forever home. The air was filled with a mix of excitement and bittersweet emotions. Daisy nuzzled Stripes, her motherly love evident, and Whiskers wagged his tail, happy for his brother but already missing his lively presence. "My darling boy," Daisy whispered, her eyes reflecting the warmth of a mother's love. "You need to take good care of yourself and your humans. And always listen to the cat. She will know what is best for her, and what is best for her will be best for all." Whiskers, standing beside Stripes, echoed the sentiment. "I am sure you will have a great time with Tina, Alex, and Midnight. And Luna and Shadow living next door. And when we meet again, we'll have lots of stories to share." At that same moment Alex approached the trio. With a smile on his face he called for Stripes. Stripes rushed towards Alex, happy to see him and eager to greet him. Alex scooped Stripes into his arms and Stripes barked loudly and happily, feeling a sense of belonging. And so, with a final round of tail wags and heartfelt farewells, Stripes hopped into the car with Tina and Alex, ready for the next chapter of his adventure. As the car disappeared down the dirt road, Whiskers felt a mixture of emotions. The farm had been a place of warmth and play, but now, with all his siblings gone, he wondered what the future held for him. Sensing his thoughts, Daisy nudged him gently, her eyes filled with maternal wisdom. "Don't worry," she assured. "Your journey is just beginning. There's something special waiting for you too." And just as she was saying this, Uncle Arthur approached and knelt to pet Whiskers. "My dear Whiskers," Uncle Arthur said with a serious face. "You must be worried that you are left behind." "Don't worry," he smiled gently. "We've been keeping the secret until everybody had found a home. And now it's time you found out. The secret. Finally he will find out why nobody was looking for family for him." Whiskers listened carefully for Uncle Arthur's next words. "You are coming with me to the city." Uncle Arthur smiled. "I'm taking you to live with my daughter and her family." The secret was out. Uncle Arthur's daughter's family had decided to adopt Whiskers as soon as they heard about him. "Remember those photos we took of you to put on social media? Well, my daughter was the first one to look at them, and that is when she first saw you." It was then when Whiskers and Daisy learned the whole story. Uncle Arthur lived with his wife in a city 3 hours by car from the village and the farm. His daughter and her family lived in the same city. Every now and then Uncle Arthur would come to the village for a few days to help his sister with the work that needed to be done around the farm. This time he stayed way longer, because everybody decided that he should not return to his city until Dottie, Boots, and Stripes had found their forever homes. There was no need to look for home for Whiskers. He had already won the hearts of Uncle Arthur's daughter's family. He was chosen. A single picture and Uncle Arthur's stories of him were enough. As for Uncle Arthur, he took his mission to find the best homes for the other 3 puppies seriously. And so Dottie went to live with the twins and their mom and dad in the nearby market town. Boots found his forever adventure with Jake. And Stripes, of course, found his new brother Alex, sister Midnight, and the best adoptive mother Tina to look after them all. Whiskers' heart raced with excitement. A family of his own. The city. After his brothers and sister, it was his turn now to start his own adventure. Standing next to him, Daisy watched the stars twinkle in the night sky, sending silent well wishes for her adventurous son. She knew Whiskers was destined for greatness, and the bond they shared would remain unbroken, no matter the distance. And so, as the sun rose the next morning, Daisy gazed fondly at the farm that had been their sanctuary, her heart heavy yet filled with a sense of fulfillment. She rested by Aunt Dana's side, who was once just an old lady for her, but now, a symbol of hope and resilience. Aunt Dana gently stroked Daisy's fur and whispered, You've raised them well, dear Daisy. They'll always carry your love with them. Daisy gazed fondly at the barn that had been their sanctuary, thinking of all the lovely moments she had with her pups there. Though her journey had been fraught with hardships, she had found solace in the farm by Aunt Dana's side. And now she felt relief in the knowledge that her pups were beginning their own tales, destined to bring joy and love to their new families. She had given her pups the best start in life, and though they will not be at her side every day, she knew she would forever hold a special place in their hearts. And they will visit often, she thought. Or me and Aunt Dana will go visit them. It will be okay. All was indeed okay. At that moment a familiar sight caught her attention. Uncle Arthur was packing up his pickup truck. With a spark of excitement ignited within, Whiskers trotted over, his tail wagging with anticipation. "It's time, my boy," Uncle Arthur said. "Go, hug everybody and tell them you will come visit soon." There were a lot of goodbyes to be said. The chickens, the cows, and that little lamb who always asked questions. And then there was Winston, the clever goat, who once again had a great story to tell him, and lovely words of wisdom to share. Always remember you were born on a farm, where things grow and life starts. Daisy kissed her boy. And now here on the farm we will always be thinking of you and wishing you happiness. And so, as Whiskers climbed into the truck, he felt he was embracing his new city adventures, while still carrying the spirit of the farm with him. A spirit of play and love. As they drove away, Whiskers felt excitement and impatience. He could not wait to see what the city he will call home looked like. Soon he will meet them. Were they also waiting to see him, as he was waiting to see them? What will they do when they finally see each other? What will they say to him? The tale of Whiskers, now bound to weave into the fabric of the city, was going to be a testament to the enduring magic of family. And as he was driving towards this new chapter, Whiskers felt boundless joy in his pup's heart. He could not wait.